The 12 Days War, huh? Made for TV, wasn't it? Here we are, a few days after the 12 Days War, on our way to eternal world peace pursuant to President Trump, and let's see how that is going. As you may know, my name is Musa. I'm an attorney, and I've been doing these analyses for the last couple of years. Thank you for following, if you are. And today, let's talk about the war between Iran and Israel and the United States. Before we start talking about that, I'd like to remind you that there is still a genocide happening in Gaza. Israeli scholars have released a report to Harvard where they now believe nearly 400,000 Palestinians have been either killed or are missing, just vanished. So don't forget that there is a brutal occupation and a horrendous genocide happening right now. In order to distract from the genocide that's happening in Palestine, Israel decided that it was going to go after Iran. They claimed that, I believe, since 32 BC, Iran is going to have a nuclear weapon. And every few years since then, they claim it again and again because they're trying to drag the United States into a regional war in order to reshape the region. Listen to Professor Jeffrey Sachs. If you'd like a further explanation, I can do a video on it, but I don't know that I could do a better explanation than Professor Jeffrey Sachs. So back to it. In order to distract from the genocide that they're committing in Gaza, Israel claimed again that Iran was weeks away from a nuclear weapon and went and unilaterally struck Iran. Well, that didn't work out so well this time because it turns out that the Iran ballistic missiles program is very sophisticated, with things like the Fatah 2 missile that can go from Mach 5 to Mach 20 and still be maneuverable. And it's been taking out city blocks in Tel Aviv, Haifa, Ashdod, Ashkelon. These are the places where their secret nuclear facilities are and their AI murder drone programmers are. Israel needed a rest. They were taking an absolute beating. They are 94 times smaller than Iran, so every giant warhead that hit is multiple versus the small warheads that hit in a largely spread out Iran all over a giant country that, like I said, is 94 times larger. The goal was achieved. Israel got Iran to strike back. And that's what they wanted, because they wanted the United States to get involved. Well, you can't really figure out what the United States is going to do. Either they're lying to you and them and Israel are in cahoots and no one can really trust what they're going to do, which is like what Iran did, because we'll get to this later, but they moved all their nuclear material because of all the saber rattling they heard back in March anyways, so these were ineffective strikes. We'll get to it. So the goal was to get the United States involved. And ultimately, the Epstein files came into play, and Trump decided that he's going to drop these bunker busters. Well, the entire intelligence community in the world says that Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, nor were they seeking a nuclear weapon. The only intelligence that had it was a Mossad report. And an Israeli intelligence report was what was given out to the members of Congress, according to Thomas Massie, which is shocking because you never see an intelligence report from a foreign country that you're going to take over your own director of national intelligence. And so Tulsi Gabbard has a vote of zero confidence, and she's even left out of meetings nowadays. I think she might have been the source of the leak that came out that said the attack the United States did was ineffective, and as such, her days might be numbered. So did they bring the U.S. in? Yes, they brought the U.S. in. They did it, and the United States came in, and they dropped $10 billion worth of munitions and airfare and Air Force and refueling and all this to do probably less than $1 billion of damage on a facility that is so deep inside of a mountain that if you look at the mountain that was struck, which they showed, and you take a look at the side-by-side view, it didn't look like it did a thing. U.S. intelligence reports said it, in fact, didn't do anything. You might have set them back by months. And Israeli intelligence reports said that it was obliterated. So the United States is now disregarding all of their own intelligence in favor of the Israeli intelligence agencies. Iran, for their part, has been not attacking. They've only been responding. For their part, they've been doing everything through the diplomatic channels. So much so that they've rendered the UN almost useless and shows it as a feckless, useless device that's out there for show. Yes, the United States is no longer relying on their own intelligence if it doesn't say what President Trump wants it to say. This is a guy who said he wasn't involved, then was involved, then had nothing to do with it, then had everything to do with it, then didn't want to get involved and got involved, didn't do any damage, and claims to have obliterated the entire nuclear program of Iran. Iran, which was not seeking a nuclear weapon at the time, according to all world intelligence, but now has no choice but to seek it for deterrence, according to all world intelligence. Is this a neocon's attempt to just keep a war going? Is that what's happening? So now we have hundreds dead in Iran, dozens dead in Israel. The United States spent $10 billion on nothing, and everybody gets a participation award. They're all claiming victory. The U.S. is claiming victory. Israel is claiming victory. Iran is claiming victory. So everybody gets a participation award. Thank you guys. You did great in your 12-day war. The performative action of the IRGC and the United States was ridiculous. The United States went in there with the intention of doing no damage and did no damage. And the response to the United States intended to do no damage and did no damage. They telegraphed everything they were going to do. They telegraphed it so much that when you listen to the Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov speak, he said, oh, in March, everything was moved to Russia. All of the enriched uranium was moved because it was clear the president was going to do something. You could tell by his Twitter account, or his Truth Social account, excuse me. So who won the 12-day war? No one and everyone. How close were we to the brink of World War III, with Russia claiming that they would get involved if their assets in the Caspian Sea were to be hit or to be irradiated, with China claiming that if the Strait of Hormuz was going to be closed, that they would have a problem with it, with them sending spy ships into the Persian Gulf. They had dozens of ships there. After the United States military left the South Pacific, they came there, and they were followed by China. We were this close to World War III, and we're not out of the woods yet. That's not Make America Great Again. Make America Great Again isn't a guy that wants to go fight wars overseas. Make America Great Again is a guy like Zohran Mamdani, who would rather stay home in New York City and help his citizens there than spend all his money somewhere else. I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. Why does it take a Muslim immigrant democratic socialist to show you what it means to make America great again? If you liked that video, please follow and like. You can find me on YouTube at legally.blinding. Thank you.